Hi friends, hope you're whelmed. Ranch of Rivershine is officially out of early access, and I thought it would be fun to show you guys the first month of gameplay if you're on the fence. I think everyone, regardless of gender, has an inner horse girl, and this game really speaks to that. A few quick notes before we get started. Making this video kind of took over my life, so I apologize for the lack of recent uploads. I put 100 hours into this game over the course of my time with it in early access, and it took another 17 just to make this video. Rivershine is really grindy and can get a little repetitive, but you'll get hooked on the gameplay loop. I do think it's more fun to play than it is to watch. For the purpose of timely progression, we are on story mode. That's how I prefer to play off camera, so we're doing the same here. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Rivershine content, let me know down in the comments, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon. I do have a playlist for my Rivershine specific videos, but if you've watched any of my compilations, I mention it quite a few times there as well. I'll link the playlist for both here as well as in the description. With all that said, we can finally get into it. We start off with a gorgeous new intro that delves into the history of Rivershine, a once prosperous horse racing town that reminds me of Radiator Springs, in that it was once a hotspot for tourism and is basically now a forgotten ghost town. Just like Lightning McQueen, it's our job to put it back on the map and return Rivershine to its former glory, without getting arrested and learning the value of hard work. There aren't a lot of clothing options when you start out, because you're meant to buy them from the boutique later, so we'll be wearing this to roll into Rivershine proper. So Rivershine is one of the most relaxing games I've played, but because the first day is the only one where time is frozen and your tasks are regimented to this extent, you have to talk to certain people and go certain places, I'm just going to forge around for a bit to give myself a head start. As I'm doing that though, we're interrupted by Madeline, the owner of the auction house and basically the town spokesperson. This is interesting because in early access, there wasn't a heart system tied to the NPCs. I don't know why, but this makes me eager to befriend all of them. Madeline goes on to explain that she's so sorry we've wasted our time coming here. Rivershine's actual new champion was scared off by rumors of a curse, and without a champion, there's no stable hand job for us. This is another change, as in the early access version, we were always supposed to be the champion. Before my ego is disintegrated before my very eyes, Madeline suggests I become Rivershine's champion. Since we don't have a choice, and I apparently walked here with nothing but the clothes on my back and, I'm assuming, a weathered old iPod Classic playing different versions of the Proclaimers' I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles on a Loop, we're not gonna say no. We head inside the auction house to buy a horse. If you'd like a more in-depth rundown on that, I'll link my tips and tricks video up above and down in the description. And I immediately noticed that our starting money has been doubled. It used to be $5,000. The first two horses on offer are really good and practically perfect. I pass on them and have immediate regrets. But eventually we find this guy, and we earn a Steam achievement for winning him at the auction house. He also has one of the new face markings the dev added in the full release content update. We have $5,800 left, so I'd say we're in pretty good shape. I name him Lucky Star after my two favorite horses from my old save, because there's nothing going on between my ears except for good vibes right now. For future reference, he's clever, which is my favorite trait, he's a light eater, I'm neutral on that, and he's competitive, which means we gain extra speed during competitions. We're off to meet River the horse trainer, and she's super happy to see us. River and Jai, the guy who works at the park office, are probably my two favorite NPCs, so over the course of our time in the save, I absolutely want to be her friend. River teaches us the basics of riding, and after praising our natural talent, tells us to go find George, the general store owner. He put together a care package for us, one that definitely has some treats for Lucky. George is the sweetest. I'd like to say I'm good at using the free camera now, but that's patently false. This part is usually pretty routine, so I can't wait to get to the ranch. But when we go to talk to George, gone is the kind, sensible general store owner from the early access days of yore. In his place is a man who doesn't actually believe we can help Rivershine. And he hates the way we dress, too. I try to talk to him afterwards, but he pays me dust.
Stop being so mean to me or I swear to God I'm gonna fall in love with you.
On our way home, we find some straw, and then we head to the ranch, which looks way different. I really like the facelift, honestly, and there are a couple of buildings I don't recognize, the animal barn being one of them. We'll investigate later, but for right now, it's time to put Lucky to bed. The game walks us through taking care of your horse. I'll try not to show too much of the screen, but you as the player will be seeing a lot of this interface because we don't get stable hands to help at any point. After all that excitement, I'm ready to head to my new home, which has also been upgraded. I feel kinda rich, and all it took were some horse paintings and a warm fire to greet me. I definitely noticed the pet bed on the floor, but I assume we'll deal with that later. We get into bed because that's how you save, and our rundown shows that we earned absolutely no money today. It was great! Day 2 begins with the realization that I should probably wear some proper boots if I'm gonna take the whole champion thing seriously. I picked the Western style ones because they look like they'd be good for stomping, and we're all set. River wants us to get serious about our training. I forgot about this, but it feels like we mind melded since I just put on shoes for the occasion. And then Jai suggests using the map to come find him at the park's office. We head outside and I immediately ignore my quests to go check out the chicken coop and scavenge around the property for forageables. I also check out the animal barn since we're there. Finally, it's time to go get Lucky ready for a day of intense training. We forage some more, then gallop into town, ready for our own training montage. But the park's office is closer, so we visit Jai first. I bump into this traveler on the way in, and he's curious about why there aren't more people around. I don't know, my guy, maybe it's the town curse. Jai's like, long time no see, and I'm like, we haven't met. And then we act like everything's normal as I turn the quest, and he asks if I use the map to find him. I decide to chat with him for a bit, and he confesses something he should probably explore in therapy. Horses outnumber humans in Rivershine, and if they decided to rise up and hurt us, well, not even Troy Bolton and all the Wildcats could save the people of Rivershine. That's how we find out he's a little scared of horses, and he loves when people lose their way to another destination and have to stop and ask for directions because he likes to help. God, this place is so cars-coded. After that, we go find River, turn in the quest, and I realize Lucky Star already has stats high enough to turn in the second part. Before we do that, I chat with her a little. River used to live here when she was a kid, though she doesn't remember it very well, which sounds a little curse-like to me. Madeline is the person who enticed her back to town. She trusts that we'll do Rivershine proud, and we already belong here. I love it. Then she tells us to go see Madeline, and I know where this is going. We'll be invited to try our first race, and I get overly confident and waste most of Lucky's energy getting to her. No problem. He snarfs a quick snack and takes a break at a nearby hitching post while I forage. I also try to see if I can buy some of the advanced skill arenas from River, but those aren't available yet since we have no open biomes. Makes sense. Finally, we're ready to race. We place first, shocking everyone, including me. Madeline is super proud of us and wistfully says it's only a little sad to have a new champion. In fact, they love the old ones so much they made statues of horses in their honor. She believes she sees the one in town square, Wild Sprout, start glowing, then brushes it off as nothing. It's definitely something, but I'm still too excited about placing first to ask. This is the face of a winner. I figure we can head back into town and sell George a bunch of stuff, plus pick up more food for Lucky. Before that, though, it's time to be wildly irresponsible with our paltry money and visit the saddlery to get Lucky Star some nice tack. I just want to take a moment here and point out that this, too, is a change from early access. All the shops in town are open now, but before, because tourists were gone and they'd fallen into racing obscurity, the shops were closed, the owners had left, and we had to win races to bring them back around. It's nice that for new players, the Rivershine NPCs are there from day one. Once we're at the saddlery, I chat with Day a little. He's so sweet and definitely awkward, saying if we have questions about tack or horses, he can help. He's not used to talking to people, though. It's okay. I fear the saddlery's allure is too strong, so we'll be his favorite customer. Side note, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, let me know in the comments and I'll do better in future. After buying red leg wraps, red tail feathers, and a green racing bridle and feeling a little bit of sticker shock, we leave the saddlery and head straight home, lest I do more damage to my wallet. We pick up more forageables, and I remember once we're back on the ranch that I completely forgot to visit George. Ah well, there's always tomorrow. Lucky Star is a model horse while we try on his new tack, and while I deeply regret the green bridle, the red tail feathers and leg wraps suit him well. It's not too late, but there isn't a whole bunch left to do today, so we'll just head to bed. Our third day starts with a barrage of letters. Day wants to formally introduce himself and show us the saddlery ropes. George has reluctantly realized he needs our help restocking the general store, and River wants to see us too. Something about whistling, which is going to end up being a trust exercise for us and Lucky. We do some foraging before we head into town. In future, just assume we always do some quick foraging and then take care of the horses, but I feel like hearing that we do it every single day is going to grind on your nerves. Once we're in town, George is all smiles as he explains our relationship can in fact be mutually beneficial. We can buy things from him and sell them to him, keeping money flowing in a sort of circular secret handshake among Rivershine's businesses. He's low on straw, so he asks if we can gather him some. This is why gathering up everything you see is beneficial, because we don't even have to bother going to look. We can just give him what we have. After that, we buy some hay for Lucky, and I want to show George he should take me seriously as Rivershine's champion, so I stand on some of his fruit like a flamingo trying to show off my moves. Not that it works. He's skipping the shade and throwing the whole tree at us. Tell me why I'm into this, though. I'm so busy embarrassing myself, I forget to sell things. I make a pit stop at the vet clinic and sell the medicinal forage we've gathered to Amelia. We'll meet her officially later. Day continues to be the best. He gives us a rundown of his saddlery and even offers us some free gear for Lucky. I tell myself I won't buy anything and immediately turn around and buy more tack. Can't take me anywhere. I try to buy multiple bitless bridles for future horses, but I can't. I don't know if this means you have to painstakingly wait to buy matching tack for every single horse you own, or if you can use it on multiple horses at the same time. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, I want to buy a really nice saddle for Lucky too. I can afford it, but just barely, so I'd better not. I back out of the place before I can impulse buy anything else. We run another race and win. George can act as unimpressed as he wants, but I see you in the front row, sir. River, meanwhile, tells us the entire town has heard, and apparently sympathized with, our unsuccessful attempts to whistle for Lucky. She tells us we'll have to build trust for him to heed the whistle, and points out that quality time together, as well as smashing the competition when racing, is a surefire way to prove we're besties. Our quest is to up our trust, and we've already completed it. She congratulates us with a blanket. I did check for this later, but we have none, so that's annoying. We chat with her, then spot Jai. One of the fun things about Rivershine is seeing what the NPCs do when they aren't tending their designated areas, and these two are attached at the hip if Jai isn't at the park's office. I whistle for Lucky a few times, check the calendar, and realize there's a festival later this week. We can probably squeeze another race in, but honestly, we find a hidden chest with a green competition ribbon in it for Lucky to wear, and then we just ride around town until the sun goes down. We have our marching orders on day 4. We've been summoned into town by the vet, Amelia Trotter, to visit her clinic when we have the time. Also, Madeline thinks it would be great to clear the path to the meadow. As I'm mucking out Lucky's stall, I realize I forgot to mention something in my tips and tricks video. When you start your save file, you'll want to keep your manure. You'll see why soon enough. In town, Amelia gives Lucky a free exam and declares him to be in perfect health. She loads us up with a few remedies free of charge because she's in this for the animals, not the money. We discover she used to be a city girl workaholic who came to Rivershine to figure out who she was outside of her job. She's still finding her footing and not sure if she made the right choice, but we can't tell her she did because her break's over and we have to jet. Since we're going to see Madeline anyway, I make time for a race that we almost don't win because I thought it would be fun to race from Lucky's POV. It was not. Following our victory, I give him a treat and pats because he's the best boy. Madeline is lurking, and I remember I haven't even talked to her once outside of receiving money. So I don't forget this time, I do that first. She tells us about her hopes for Rivershine, apologizes for the chaos, and after musing on the unpredictability of life, we get down to brass tacks. She'd like us to see Jai once we're able to financially contribute to opening the meadow. But in true sugar mama fashion, she puts her money where her mouth is, and gives us half of that to make the dream come true. If only every other farming sim on the planet would take note. Before we do that, I try to use the free camera to show off Wild Sprout's glowing statue. You can see how that went. Sorry everybody, back to our regularly scheduled programming of staring at lucky stars behind. I procrastinate further by deciding to antagonize George and see if I can stoke his enemies to lover's fire. I have some stuff to sell him anyway. When we strike up a conversation, he fills us in on the fact that we can sell him our horse's manure. Hands off, buddy, that's our poop. Before we leave, I whistle, and Lucky busts into the general store like he's the star of the show. Naturally, he is. Finally, we visit the parks office, and Jai gets to clearing the meadow. Also, we can now buy the beginner meadow training course, and I'm going to advise against that. If you're serious about training your horse, buy the arenas and associated upgrades from River when she has them in stock. We ask Jai if he's seen anything strange lately, and he's super excited to spill all about the wild horses that have been spotted near town, especially one curious horse that nobody can catch. He notes we look disappointed that no paranormal activity has been yoinking tourists off the face of the earth, and tries to joke about the curse, but I get the feeling his Halloweens are spent watching nothing scarier than the Mickey Mouse specials, which is strangely relatable. Anyway, opening the meadow triggers the completion of a quest. Jai is pretty happy about it, except for the sheep, which are mean to him and steal all the best forage. Aw, bud. We bid him goodbye and set out to explore. The trail entrance is right next to his house, but he has some sweet forage on his property too that mysteriously goes missing. We're gonna blame this on the sheep. The meadow is beautiful. Plus, you gain extra speed while cantering around, and we head straight for Aisha the farmer. Just as we're new to this whole champion gig, she's new at farming. Despite the talk of a curse, she loves her new job. She and Amelia should get together over coffee. I bet she could help our favorite vet feel better. We sell her some stuff we foraged, and by the time we get back home, it's late. Our earnings aren't the highest today, but since we only have one horse, I'm not too worried about it. Amelia sends us a note on the 5th day, saying something unexpected happened at the clinic, and we might want to come see for ourselves. Also, Madeline's officially opened the beginner race in the meadow. Amelia gifts us with the miracle of life via an adorably fluffy dog, and there are no takebacks when the town doctor assigns you a pet. He's adorable, but the name Waffle doesn't quite fit. After some deliberation, I choose Pumpkin, because I'm still wondering what kind of Halloween movies Jai marathons. I'll change his name to Pipkin later, but for now, let's saddle up. Not only does Pipkin look adorable, he also collects forage while we're riding. This is awesome and one of my favorite full access features. Even though we did really well with the town race, the meadow race is tougher. This might be a big fish, small pond situation. Unfortunately, my intuition was proven correct, because not only did my cat walk across the keyboard during the race, we also came in third. I'm not satisfied with that, so we try again. Second this time. I collect the extra reward money from Madeline for trying our best, then chat with her to increase our heart level. We have just enough energy to run another town race, come in second, and head home. On day 6, George needs us to scour the meadow and find him some corn to fulfill a customer's order. Aisha also wants to see us, to give us the rundown on farming. When we find her, she gives us some seeds, some fertilizer, and a gentle reminder to plant her gift. I immediately forget to do this, and zip around with Pipkin foraging for us while we improve Lucky's speed. We get back to town, and I try the meadow race again. This was a mistake, as we place 5th, and after feeding Lucky a cucumber I bought from Aisha, I talk to River. The selective amnesia surrounding her childhood is still lingering. And though certain things bring up a vague memory, like us standing in a patch of light, she decides Madeline might be the person to fill in the gaps. Speaking of, she's right here lurking, so we might as well talk to her. She spins us a yarn about the good old days. It seems a lot of the NPCs in this game are actually new arrivals like us. When Rivershine's former champion left, most of the town shut down and went with them. Madeline misses her friends, but she's excited for the future. Feeling vaguely unsettled by River's memory loss and Madeline's sad country song wrapped in casual conversation, we pop over to the general store and George pays us $900 for securing that corn. He also absolutely doesn't have time to entertain the notion of a curse, explaining that when Madeline's father closed the auction house after Rivershine's champion left, it forced everyone else out of business. Most people left, but George's family stayed to run the general store. He's proud they didn't pack their things and leave, but it sounds like maybe he's holding a grudge against Madeline's dad. Ooh, that was more drama than I was expecting. Should I be saving money? Absolutely. Do I ride Lucky directly into the saddlery to buy that saddle I wanted? You bet I do. I'd say that was the best day we've had so far in Rivershine. You know, minus the whole we almost placed last thing. Today's the Spring Festival, and those weren't part of early access either, so I'm hyped. Before I forget, let's plant those seeds Aisha gave us. Once we're done that, we prepare Lucky for the festival. Not really sure if our human character should have worn something fancier than our hoodie for this, but since the boutique's still locked, we don't have a ton of other options. The entire town, including the entrance to our ranch, has been decorated with balloons. There's a pop-up marketplace ringing the town square featuring a bunch of colorful tack, and while there are tourists and some familiar faces, I don't see Madeline anywhere. Amelia gushes over River's horse training ability, and not only does she make River sound super talented, she makes her sound like a supernatural expert with amazing horse whisperer gifts. We find Madeline. She's hanging out in this little round pen where she tells us we should check out the special mealy horses that vendors have brought in for the festivals, and she'll give us some extra cash for the one we want. For more money, we should see River, who's hosting a special one-try-only event over at the training arena. I check out the map, see Rivers with Jai and George, and then realize that she's also the only NPC without a last name. I'm starting to think she might actually be some kind of magical being, like a sorceress or a forest sprite. Anyway, we practice doing the event, but Lucky's flexibility sucks, so we're not great. When it comes time to actually compete, we're dead last. Oops. Another oops is the fact that I completely misunderstood Madeline and thought the mealy horses were being sold at the auction house. They're actually on display in that little round pen, but I'm so focused on the auction house I don't notice. I go through the entire selection before I give up, head to the competition board to sign up for a race, and hope we're not the laughingstock of the meadow. But actually, we finally place first. To celebrate, I buy some special festival tack from Day. Just a little richer than we were this morning, Lucky and I head home. Next festival, I'm determined to buy a mealy. Also, we desperately need to work on his flexibility, but that's consistently been the hardest stat for me to train without the arena in the Rocky Mountain. I'm not saying I'm hopeless without it, but if the horseshoe fits... George wants us to open the forest trail, and Day has a special tack scavenger hunt organized for us. Since we already accidentally started that, I figure we should go hear him out. He explains he's hidden lots of special tack all over Rivershine and the various biomes to make the town a little livelier. Also, as it turns out, he's a veritable fountain of equestrian knowledge, but other people don't always love that. He tried casually telling Jai about horse skeletons, and our friendly neighborhood park ranger started shaking. It might be helpful to explain to Day that Jai is afraid of horses, but that's none of my business, so we leave him be. I'm gonna be honest, I definitely remember where one treasure chest is, so Lucky and I head to the river to find it. Then we come back to visit George, who's so eager to see Pine Forest reopen, he'll split the cost with us. Very modern. I'm still surprised that out of all the NPCs in this game, it's the cranky general store owner that's got my goat. I open the Pine Forest, but even though the entrance is right on our land, I don't know if I want to visit so soon. I think we should probably spend the rest of today racing and make some money. The first few ranch upgrades Liam offers are comparatively cheap, but then the gloves come off and we'll be paying through the nose for everything else. He's a sweetie, but it is what it is. I want to talk to River because I feel like she's the key to this whole curse thing, what with her conveniently missing memory and all. But when I bust into her home uninvited, she's adamant that she doesn't believe in the curse, or at least she didn't until we got to town. Since we got here, she's noticed the statues glowing, and when she's out riding alone, she swears she can hear phantom hooves behind her. She's convinced her mom knew the curse was real, and that's why they left. Neither her mom nor Madeline will talk to her about it, though. She did try to ask. Bummer. But I'm still convinced we're the red herring, and it's actually River who's going to break the curse. She can tame a wild horse with just a look, and we definitely can't do that. We run the Rivershine race, give Lucky a treat for placing first, then run the meadow since his energy is full. He placed first again with just enough energy for one last lap around Rivershine. Lucky places first again, but given that he's absolutely spent, I decide we'll just ride around the meadow and see if we can scoop up some more expensive medicinal herbs while we're there. Once Pipkin helps us with foraging, we talk to Aisha, who's still working outside even as the sun goes down. She tells us she's only going to stay in Rivershine until she can fix up her grandfather's farm. Then she has to return to her life in the city. She doesn't have a timeline, but I hope she chooses to stay anyway. By the time we get Lucky home, it's dark outside. I have no doubt we'll be getting a letter in the mail from our new carpenter friend tomorrow. We've only been in this file for 9 days, and I'm already unreasonably attached to Lucky Star. I'd like to keep training him and see how far he'll get by the end of the video, but even with the clever trait, his potential's pretty low right now, and his flexibility needs some serious work. So after we get our letter from Liam requesting an official introduction, we're gonna head down to the auction house and buy our second horse. Liam has been hard at work making blueprints for ranch upgrades, and he'd like to show us his work. Also, Madeline has written to us to let us know the beginner competition in the forest is now available. Maybe we'll try it with Lucky later in the day. First, though, we head to the general store to sell some herbs and buy more hay. I think everything's normal until George gets distracted from sparring with us by his worrisome bookkeeping revelations. Things are tight and business is slow. He's so absorbed in the numbers, he's actually nice to us. I take that as my cue to leave. I promptly try to steal someone else's horse, thinking it's Lucky. Knowing we're adding another horse to the stable, I run the Rivershine race because that one's a breeze. But when I go to spend my winnings at the auction house, I'm pretty unimpressed with the selection. I end up picking the second to last stallion, Mighty Wolf, because by that point, I'm pretty sure we're just going to train him up while we let Lucky regain his potential, then sell him later to his forever home. It's going to be great. Afterwards, I feed Lucky a cucumber and try the bunny hop, the recently opened forest competition. And I usually avoid the forest if I can, but I swear the race has been overhauled. I have to restart it twice, and we still place in third. Taking Chumbawamba's lyrics to heart, we try again, only to earn second place. I think that deserves a visit to Madeline for some extra prize money. After we loosen her purse strings, Madeline waxes poetic about the history of Rivershine. Long ago, her ancestor followed the spirit of a blessed horse to Rivershine, where he came upon a herd of wild horses. Hoping to promote harmony between humans and horses, he opened up the auction house. The night before it opened, the horse spirit visited him again and offered him a deal. As long as the humans of Rivershine honored the bond between horse and rider, the town would be blessed with great fortune. Madeline's own father dismissed these tales as childish folly, but when Rivershine's champion left, the whole town faltered. Since we've been here, she has hope the blessing will return. This is cool lore, and I want to get River's take on this ASAP, but since we spent most of our day racing, we need to visit the forest and meet Liam before it gets dark. We find him practicing catchphrases, which is both adorable and awkward. In the early access version, I don't remember him having a ton of personality, but to be absolutely fair, as we already said, I didn't usually hang out in the forest. Liam has come up with a blueprint to expand our stable, and he has a few other, more expensive projects available for purchase in his shop. I buy the stable upgrade and, out of curiosity, check what it would cost to upgrade my house. Yeah, never mind. We have to head home to check on our new horse anyway. Once Lucky's taken care of, I check on our new arrival and change his name to Honest Blueberry because it makes me giggle. We'll be taking him out tomorrow and letting Lucky relax in the pasture so he can slowly gain his potential back. As it turns out, Honest Blueberry's stats are worse than I originally thought, but it's nothing we can't handle. Aisha finally wants to teach us to make fertilizer for our garden, and River has some ideas for how to improve our training sessions. Letting Lucky chill in the pasture for the day while we ride off on another horse is kind of weird. It's like leaving your younger sibling home alone for the first time, hoping they don't unearth Jumanji from the board game closet, or even worse, Zathura. Nobody's coming to save you if you get trapped in there, mostly because nobody remembers it exists. I feed Blueberry some corn with his hay because it will double his speed training, and then we zip down to the meadow to meet up with Aisha. As much as I want to make a poop-centric joke and show you guys a clip of Numamon tossing their waste at frightened children, I'll hold off. River isn't in the mood for dishing any more deep family secrets or talking about her amnesia, maybe because Jai's right there and scared of horses. Fair enough. I thought her quest was about to let us purchase our first training arena, but she just wanted to go over feeding our horse grains and how they each raise a specific stat. She also gives us some free stuff, so score! I wanted to try our hand at Blueberry's first race, but even after feeding him watermelon earlier, which gives him 100% energy, he's too tired to compete. I take him home and saddle up Lucky, just so we can earn some money via racing. I miss the travel stones. We absolutely dominate the Rivershine race, and I want to try the meadow, but sign-ups are closed for the night. We head back home, and as I'm saving, I realize I forgot to collect the crops from my garden. That can be tomorrow's problem. I forgot all about the crops because today is the day Liam has the fertility pasture plans ready for us, which means we need a mare so we can finally get some foals on our ranch. I really want to pair Lucky with a mealy horse, but the next festival isn't for another week and a half, so we'll see what we end up doing. Since we're headed to the forest anyway, I put Lucky in the pasture, and if you're wondering why I feed him and clean his stall, even though we can graze in the pasture, it's because horses lose 1 point of potential for every night you leave them outside. But if you leave them in their stalls all day, they're more likely to catch a cold. At least, from my experience. So we gallop around the forest like we're expecting to be cast in Rivershine's own production of Robin Hood, then buy the fertility pasture from Liam. It isn't too expensive, about the price of a decent starter horse, but I'm really banking on the hope that Blueberry will sell for more than that. Before we leave, Liam tells us he thinks the forest is enchanted because he keeps cutting down trees and they spring back up overnight. That's one way to solve supply chain issues. We leave and head straight to town because I want to get Blueberry's racing career started. I also want to check out the saddlery and grab a blanket for Lucky. It's nice out today, but if it rains, I don't want him getting sick while he's out in the pasture. Blueberry isn't exactly a champion racer, but to be fair, he's got a decent chunk of potential left. He places second in the town race, fourth in the forest, and fifth in the meadow. By the time we're ready to head home, everyone's gone home for the night. I could call Day back to the shop, but nah, we'll let him sleep and dream of all the horse facts he knows. It's day 12 and I've got to remember to harvest my crops, so instead of foraging with Pipkin, we do that instead. Aisha wants to see some of our carrots, so we'll sell her those, and Madeline wants to walk us through the breeding mechanic. We harvest our carrots and even our oats, but when I turn to look, I realize Pipkin isn't following me anymore. I proceed to reenact a Scooby-Doo episode looking for our tiny terror when I realize he's stuck behind some fencing. I rush to take care of the horses and hope saving the game and starting a brand new day will liberate him from this horror when I find him happily trailing us into the farm. What a stinker. But also, the way I was planning to yeet this entire save into the recycle bin if we couldn't rescue him is exactly why I still can't watch those movies about the reincarnating dogs. I get too attached to fictional characters. I accidentally saddle up Lucky instead of Blueberry, which is fine because now we can head to the auction house and find out how much Blue is worth. As it turns out, not much. I think we'd actually lose money if we sold him now. No big deal, I can keep training him until his potential's exhausted, then find him his forever home. But also, check it out. Lucky trusts us enough to mount him this way now. We visit Madeline for her horse breeding lesson, and then head home for the start of Blueberry's training montage. He gets winded by the time we get to the training arena, so while he's resting, we chat with River. We've reached our first full heart with her, and she gives us some more grains, as well as some encouraging words. I train Blueberry and mess around with the free camera. I still suck at it, until he has no energy left, and think about heading to the meadow to finish Aisha's quest. But nah, I'm determined to help Blue become the best he can be, so the next few days are likely going to be a training grind. As a side note, this is why the game is great for people who like to sink tons of hours into things. There's always something to do on the ranch and always a horse to level up, even if you're just going to sell them. Jai sends us a letter about seeing wild horse tracks, so after we give Blueberry some corn to up his speed training again, we head to town to open up our first wild horse pen. Both the meadow and forest are available, and as a reward for reaching first heart status, Jai gives us some herbs he collected out on the trails. It's only once I'm near the meadow that I realize I completely forgot to buy the wild horse pens, so I tie Blueberry to the nearest hitching post and hoof it back to town because I don't have a reason for this, honestly. Sometimes my quest for a Darwinism award surprises even me. Anyway, we head to the meadow, talk to Aisha a bit, find she actually loves Rivershine and is thinking of leaving some carrots at one of the statues as a tribute. Then we show her ours. She's impressed. We sell her those as well as the herbal gift from Jai because we need money more than a symbol of friendship right now. We buy some watermelon seeds to plant later and spend the rest of the day upping Blue's skills in the meadow. He only has 16% potential left. I'm gonna file it right down, then try racing again. After that, he should be ready to sell. The next few days are spent training Blueberry and redoing the races until we come in first. We also open the Crystal Lake Trail with River offering up half the money. And Madeline admitted she and the former Rivershine champion used to be besties who fought before the champ left for good. That's why she lurks in the town square almost every day, looking like a grief-stricken sailor's wife, just praying her beloved ship will find harbor. Okay, it wasn't that dramatic, but still. On day 15, we also spot our first wild horses in the forest and adopt this one. Her name is Lively Spark, and she was a pain in the butt to catch. I'm emotionally attached to Blueberry now, and I don't really want to sell him, but we need our stable space for a mealy horse and a foal. More than that, though, we need the money now that the boutique is open in Crystal Lake. Aisha wants to talk to us about starting a small orchard, but I can't concentrate on that when I realize the round pen we'll need to train up Spark is completely unusable. I visit Liam, then Jai, trying to remember how to get it cleared out. I realize that happens when we have a foal on the ranch. In other news, Liam's working on a handmade gift for Jai. We sell Blueberry, and while I'm happy with the amount and the fact that he's off to his forever family, I'm gonna miss him. We compete in the lake's new competition, place first, and Madeline gives us our prize money. Then we head home and I hedge my bets, hoping that Lucky and Spark will have a foal, and we can clear out the round pen because we're gonna need that sooner than later. No new foals on the ranch means I take them back to the stable to get them settled. Then we'll try again. I think I'll give it 3 chances, then we'll have to sell Spark and get a tamed mare from the auction house. Just as a tip, this was sort of spelled out during early access. I vaguely remember someone sending us a letter about getting a second horse from the auction house, but I may be misremembering, so don't take my word for it. We wake up to the news that we're going to hear tiny hoofbeats in a week. Madeline wants to open up the Rocky Mountain. We have to go visit River and Aisha, and we'll take Lucky since there's absolutely nothing I can do with Spark until she's tame. It only took a small eternity, but we've finally unlocked the first training arena. I buy it right from River and then swing by the vet clinic to see how much the pregnancy progression tonic costs. Okay, well that's more than we can afford, but at least Amelia is eager to try new things. She didn't have a hobby in the city, and she's envious that everyone in Rivershine seems to have a thing they really love. Aw, she'll find something soon. Maybe she can make her hobby giving us discounts? I jest. Our sugar mama helps us pay to have the Rocky Mountain Trail cleared out, then apologizes for George's attitude. It's fine. Really. Later, Jai is absolutely certain he found a fossil of some kind on the trails. Or it could have been a cool rock. Same difference. I know this red guy who absolutely loves rocks. He goes on to tell us he's found all sorts of neat things on the trails, including an old letter that had something to do with Rivershine's old champion. He showed it to Madeline and she yoinked it. For safekeeping, obviously. Daphne, the boutique owner who lives out in Crystal Lake, is thrilled to see us. She explains she's used to bouncing from place to place looking for inspiration to make clothes, but she's always dreamed of settling in Rivershine. She needs a reset and feels like she came at the perfect time. After that very personal story, how can we not buy anything? I grab a purple hoodie, a red shirt, and some skinny jeans. I want shoes, but if I'm not careful, I'll spend more than we actually have, and right now, Lucky is the only working horse. We head back to town and visit the general store so I can haggle with George. We've actually reached our first full heart with him, so he gives us some free horse supplies and begrudgingly tells us we're the bee's knees. Aw, we love you too. We give Lucky a treato, run the lake race, come in first, then head to the meadow to talk with Aisha. She's giving us a free apple tree seed to start our orchard with, and while that is an absolutely lovely, thoughtful, generous gift, I forget to plant it. Maybe tomorrow. First thing in the morning, we get that apple tree in the ground because it's free money. Then we run the new Rocky Mountain race. After taking home the gold and grabbing our reward money, we visit the Rocky Mountain to finally meet the horse stylist, Orion. I think the Rocky Mountain is my favorite area, but since I rarely bother with styling my horses, I don't have an opinion on Orion either way. But when we get the chance to chat with him, he's exactly the sort of dreamy, somewhat out there person you'd expect to chart stars and brand himself Rivershine's tarot expert. I'm just going to trust him on that one, and his intro is so charming, I even buy the very long bubble mane and tail. I don't think I'll be using it on Lucky, I kind of like his natural look, but I think Spark would look absolutely gorgeous with it. Once we're back in Rivershine, I swing by to talk to River, only to find her down in the dumps. She asked her mom to come visit, and not only was she firmly rejected, her mom wants her to leave and come home, lest she become a victim of Rivershine's curse. Okay, listen, at this point, what is the curse? All I've heard about so far is some blessings, and while I definitely miss the benefits of the horse statues, seriously, when do those kick in? I'm not getting the creeps from this town. I pop by Day's place, and the only blanket he has for sale is this green one with bows on it. I figure we should probably buy one for Spark, since she's going to be in the pasture for the duration of her pregnancy. But when I get home to try out her new hairstyle, she looks fantastic. It occurs to me that there's no reason I have to wait until she has her foal and the round pen is officially open. I've never actually tried to tame a wild horse without it, but I'm pretty sure it can be done. Spoiler alert, yes, it's possible. I spend the rest of the day training her, and then at night, I take her to the Rocky Mountain and we work together until we're both tired and could probably use a nice bath. I actually got sent back to bed at around 2 a.m., but I have no footage to back this up. She's not fully tamed yet, but that's a really good start. We are 5 days away from having a foal on our ranch, and I feel like it's time for a change. The first thing we do is try on some of the clothes we bought from Daphne and let our hair down. Orion wants to teach us about mixing up our own dye with flowers, River is finally helping us with the round pen, and Madeline can no longer ignore the weirdness with Wild Sprout's statue, so she's asked us to meet her ASAP and hand wave away her delusions. I mean, that won't be happening. We're all aboard this train with her, and like I said, I miss randomly finding free potential on the ground. If that doesn't make sense, you might want to check out my tips and tricks video. I take Spark out with us to keep taming her and leave Lucky in the pasture, immediately heading to Madeline's house. It's actually pretty sweet in here. I like the layout of her second floor. She's just as happy to see us as we are to see the inside of her home and says the entire town is better for our arrival. Even Georgia started opening up and talking again. I knew there was a softie underneath that gruff exterior. We press her on the statue, and she suggests Wild Sprout's monument glows brighter each time we win a town race, and that we should keep winning until no one can deny there's a magic statue plopped in the middle of town. Luckily, we've already won enough times that the next part of the quest triggers. She says, we should interact with the statue. It might have benefits for Spark. Spoiler alert, when Wild Sprout's statue is at full strength, it gives your horse extra potential. We'll save that for Lucky since Spark here has most of her potential left. Next, we head over to Rivers. She worked together with Liam to clear out that round pen, and now we can tame foals and wild horses. Side note, this will happen much sooner for you if you buy another horse from the auction house, pair them as soon as the fertility pasture is built, and wait for confirmation of a foal the next day. We head home and finish taming up Spark in the pen. It's much easier and faster than riding her everywhere. We still have to pick red flowers in the Rocky Mountain for Orion's hair dye tutorial, and Lucky gains some extra stats. Orion is happy we've shown initiative, and because he's a playful dude, he's hidden hair dye recipes around Rivershine for us to find. Introducing the second scavenger hunt. It's festival day again. I'm determined to buy a mealy horse this time, so I don't even bother foraging, put Spark in the pasture, and ride Lucky into town with Pipkin on our heels. Aisha has a surprise for us, and Day is hopeful we can help him put together a tribute for Wild Sprout. Luckily, we already have the materials gathered, so that'll be a breeze. We check out River's competition, and even though I practice a few times, we still come in fourth, behind a horse whose name is Dust Bunny. But that's okay. We chat with River, who, following her fight with her mom, went on a ride to clear her head and saw a herd of wild horses. One in particular seemed to shimmer in the sun, but when she tried to approach it, it disappeared completely. She recalls a story her mother used to tell her about a similar disappearing horse, and confesses she'd hoped that catching it would repair their rift and show her mom she belongs in Rivershine. After chatting with Jai and George, who have the same dialogue as last festival, but it's cute so I don't mind, we pop over to the town square and give Day the stuff he asked for. He casually mentions that he too has been having weird dreams, though his have to do with shadowy horses and the stones around town. I can't stop smiling because I'm pretty sure this means the first set of travel stones from Rivershine to our ranch have been unlocked. We talk with Day some more and discover he has a secret artistic side. He's embarrassed to show us his horse drawings, but when we don't recoil in fright, he shyly tells us we can drop by the shop one day and see more of his work. I am practically overloaded from how adorable this exchange is. We finally head over to the mealy pen, and at first I thought I wanted a mare to breed with Lucky, but then I realize every single one of them has beginner stats, and we can't see their traits, so I have no idea if any of them are clever or have that one trait that lets you earn bonus points with the horse statues. I just picked the most expensive one because we deserve to treat ourselves, then hurry to find Aisha. We've reached our first full heart with her, and she's excited to give us some alfalfa hay, just as a little gift. She's also gifted us a chicken, and casually mentioned that she recruited Liam to inspect our chicken coop and animal barn. Everything's up to code. While I smile and nod and think to myself that I really should change the locks, I try to buy one of the adorable animals she has next to her stall. But either I can't have any because of the chicken gift, or there's a trick to it I haven't figured out. Ah well. I'll check next festival, which should be in the summer. We chat with Liam, who has a brand new project underway. Not a trinket box this time, but something square-shaped. Then I notice it's actually getting a little late. We hoof it to the town square so I can sign up for what's probably the last race of the day. Lucky comes in first, and riding high on glory, and the fact that we got free stuff, we head home. I noticed our newest horse has the collector trait. That means he'll find money on the ground wherever we go, and rename him to Auspicious Fortune. Fortune for short. Then I have to check and make sure I spelled auspicious right. River wants to see us. God, I hope it's to open the endurance arena. So we take Fortune to town. River does in fact have the endurance arena ready for us. Then I run the town race just to see where Fortune's baseline is. Every stat is pretty okay except for speed, but we still place fourth. I bring him to the forest to ride around and test out the endurance arena anyway. Then I got a phone call and forgot to pause the game, so it's late at night by the time we finally complete the course. But on the bright side, Fortune picked up a decent chunk of change for us while we were riding around aimlessly. As soon as we get up, we get word that Day wants to open the coast. This is the last biome that was still locked, so I feel accomplished. I run to the garden to plant the various seeds we've accumulated and make some fertilizer to help expedite the crop growth. The apple tree in the orchard still isn't ready, but that's okay. We'll be selling all of the apples we eventually harvest from it anyway. Lucky's definitely our best bet to win the big bucks via racing. Spark obviously can't, and Fortune's speed is still too low to bother with competition. We had to talk to Day. He agrees to split the cost of opening the trail with us. Then we head down to the park's office to make his dream a reality. Jai is more than happy to help, but he's also nervous. While out on the trails, he saw the same vanishing wild horse that River did, and now he's questioning his grip on reality. We bid him a cheerful goodbye and head to the meadow to up Fortune's speed. I also gave him a boost via grains this morning, so he's good to go in no time. I give him an entire watermelon, then head back to town to test his racing chops. We place first in both the Meadow and Rivershine races. Plus, I managed to score some extra statue fame from the Rivershine one. We'll have another planter box full of watermelon to look forward to tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. Okay, so I knew this was likely to be the case, but remember the last tip in my tips and tricks video? The one where I said you could plant crops year-round regardless of season, add a metric ton of fertilizer, and they'd grow regardless? And remember how I said I could see that one changing because it was kind of cheaty? Well, turns out they did in fact get rid of this perk. It's not like my watermelons rotted or anything, they just turned into straw. Still useful, but undeniably disappointing. I've already amended my other video with a pinned comment, but just in case, always make sure to use shield fertilizer when you're planting out-of-season crops, because just doing it willy-nilly isn't guaranteed to work anymore. Somewhere along the line, I realized we also haven't seen the chicken Aisha gave us at the festival yet. I looked for it for a while, but it's nowhere to be found. I'll figure that out off camera. Now that the coast is open, there's a new competition to go with it. Lucky is obviously my ride or die, but I'm also starting to realize that we don't have a lot of cash. And while that's fine right now, we're about to enter a higher class of competitions, which means everything's going to get so much more expensive. Fortune's potential is almost gone, and he's got a few first place races under his belt, so we head to the auction house to find him his forever home. Honestly, he's beautiful, but we need to expand the stable for more skilled horses. He sells for a bit less than I was expecting, but more than we initially bought him for, so I can't complain. After that, we'd try our luck at the new race. Lucky comes in first, so we run it again to the same result. We collect our reward from Madeline, and she opens up about her past. She keeps having recurring dreams of the day her friend left Rivershine. Madeline had gone to watch her train, only to discover the former champion arguing with her father. The champion made a quick exit, stage left, and no one from Rivershine ever saw her again. I'm left wondering why everyone in this town seems to be interconnected by strange dreams. Madeline wonders if perhaps she can let go of the past, if she finds out what really happened between her friend and her father. This is the first time I grimly wonder how she's going to do that. Like, is her dad still alive so she can call and ask? Since we're about as qualified to therapize her as a daytime talk show host, we take our leave and pop over to the vet clinic to see what Amelia's up to. She's more than happy to buy our surplus of medical herbs, but she's too busy to share any more personal trivia. The day was short, but surprisingly busy. I'm pretty excited since Spark's foal is due tomorrow. Oh my gosh, the new foal is here and she's precious. Her stats are kind of terrible, but look, her traits are fabulous. She's clever like her father, a gourmand like her mom, and popular so she'll sell for more at the auction house. We name her Wander Sprite, get her settled, then send the entire family out to the pasture just to watch them hang out for a bit. Since we cleared the coast race, there's been renewed interest in Rivershine, and vendors are bringing more skilled horses to the auction house. We'll go see Madeline to learn more, and I'm so excited to add 1 or 2 more friends to our stable. We take Lucky with us again, talk to Madeline, then rush inside the auction house to see the new arrivals. Unfortunately, though there are some really tempting horses, I'm pretty underwhelmed by the selection. After all the horses have been sold, we run 3 races. The town race, then 2 laps around the coast. Lucky places first each time. After all that, he deserves a nice rest, so we call it a day. It's actually raining out. I'm determined to find a new horse with higher stats today so we can start banking Lucky's potential again. He'll need it if he wants to move on to the harder races, and even though I want to open wild horse pens for the other areas, I'm thinking we should save money until we see how tough the next round of competitions really are. For now, I saddle up Spark to quickly loop through town and keep Lucky and Wander Sprite indoors. I know we have a blanket for him in case of rain, and I know these are just pixels on a screen, but I still don't want Wander Sprite left all alone in the stable, so at least Lucky's nearby. River wants to talk about how we can improve our stats. Madeline has written to tell us the statue in the meadow, Gold Charm, has started glowing too. Since we need more horse supplies, and I want to go annoy George, we'll talk to her before we hit up today's auction. She wants us to start training with more challenging obstacles, but when I check her store, I can't buy the intermediate country barrels she suggests. I can't remember if the first upgrade is free or not because I never use these. The biome arenas are my favorite way to train. Later, when I'm watching this footage back, I'll realize they are not in fact free, but I still don't see them available, so someone please clue me in on what I missed. Otherwise, I'll figure it out off screen. Rivers also had an epiphany. She loves her mom and she loves Rivershine, and those 2 things can coexist. She doesn't know exactly what her mother went through, but realizes her mom's actions come from a desire to protect her. And it's okay if she never comes to visit, because they can still have a relationship without River's choice of hometown poisoning the well. She's realized she has to make her own choices, even if they upset other people. River assures us we shouldn't be sad over her family drama and bids us farewell. Spark's stats are pretty good for a beginner, so we enter her first race. She places first in the Rocky Mountain Run, and we feed her a pumpkin to celebrate. I consider running a second race, decide to visit the auction house instead. Sadly, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know it isn't any of these. We pop by the general store and shoot the breeze with George. Seeing us reminds him of his youth. As it turns out, he, Madeline, the former champ, and her trainer, I'm assuming that's River's mom, were a tight-knit friend group. They were so close, George and Madeline even babysat the trainer's daughter while she worked, and in return, they got to watch the champion train. It's weird that he doesn't seem to be connecting the dots to River there, but maybe he thinks we don't know yet, so he's protecting her privacy. What a good friend. We buy 52 portions of hay, then stop by the saddlery because I want to make sure Spark looks good. I think once Wander Sprite is fully grown and both her parents' stats are higher, I'll try breeding them together again and see what happens. We've reached our first full heart with Day. He gives us pumpkin and cucumbers for our horses, and tells us that our kindness means a lot to him. We buy some tack, then I head to the forest. Endurance is Spark's lowest stat, so we're going to train her in the arena today. After that, we swing by Liam's, just to see what he's up to, because I feel like we never talked to him and I'm curious to know about his secret project. He congratulates us on our training, I guess River told him it's going well, and fondly reminisces about his mentor, who used to be Rivershine's carpenter. He told Liam he used to catch Madeline and George sneaking out at night so they could watch the last champion train. After spilling his tea, he gets embarrassed and apologizes for going on about the past. I'd like to know more actually, but Spark is exhausted, and it's later than I thought it would be, so we return to the ranch. Tomorrow, I've got to remember not to be so picky at the auction house. We need a higher skilled horse to help us compete. Today is the first day a new quest hasn't triggered as soon as we walk out the door, probably because we still have yesterday's to finish. I decide to take Lucky with me, since it'll only be for the short trip to the auction house. Before I can part with my cash, I check out Madeline's shop to see if she has an upgrade in stock. I remember that you used to be able to buy an increase in the number of available auction horses per day. She's got nothing, so I decide to ask about the quest. The statue in the meadow, Gold Charm, is glowing now. Gold Charm was known for being particularly speedy, so Madeline is convinced it will gift our chosen horse an increase in speed. That's true, and I don't know which horse I want to use it on yet, so we'll put a pin in it and circle back later. For now, it's time to buy a horse. I start getting ridiculously choosy again, so I just pay the maximum amount for this guy. I wanted another mare, but if left to my own devices, I would have rejected all of them, so sometimes impulse buying is the right decision. I change his name to Storm Ranger, put Lucky out in the pasture with the others, and saddle up to talk to River. Once again, there's no intermediate country barrel in her shop. I figure out it's because I have to waste money on buying the beginner barrels first. Ranger's stats are high enough that we can complete this whole quest line without actually using those barrels, and then we hoof it out of there and sign Ranger up for a couple of races. He clears the coast and Rocky Mountain easily, and since Madeline is once again right there and seems to have something to say, we make time to talk. She's thrilled. While cleaning the auction house, she discovered letters written by Rivershine's founder. Apparently, the myths are real. The horse spirit was legit, and so was the pact he made with said spirit. Madeline's ancestor financed Rivershine's first champion and wrote that champions should be chosen based on passion and raw talent, not a desire for money or clout. Madeline now believes we were meant to be the champion all along. Also, she found some hand-woven tack at the auction house, and she wants us to have it. Done. After the day's hustle and bustle, I decide to take Ranger out to the coast, since we haven't actually explored that biome yet, and spend the rest of the day looking for watermelon and coconut oil. Day 28 dawns bright and early with 3 new quests. Madeline has opened the meadow's next race, the Sheep Leap. Aisha wants our help gathering flowers for a tribute to Gold Charm. Jai thinks he can help us catch wild horses with better stats. After settling everyone else in the pasture, we head out on Ranger. The Sheep Leap will be his chance to strut his stuff. First, we visit Jai to talk about upgrading our wild horse pens. This doesn't mean you're guaranteed a horse with better stats, it just means you might have a chance of catching them. I hold off on upgrading the pens we have to intermediate, and instead choose to buy the Crystal Lake wild horse pen, and only because in the past, I've gotten some of my favorite wild horses from there in previous saves. After that, we try our luck at the Sheep Leap, and I encounter the first glitch I've ever seen. Every time Ranger's speed depletes, it fills right back up. I keep trying to fix it on the fly, so we end up placing 4th. I run it again, and the infinite energy persists, so we gallop the whole way and win the race. Unfair, but them's the breaks. Still, I run to Madeline to get head pats and extra prize money, and while she's thrilled we placed first, she also has some kind words about how it's okay not to be the winner every time. While her wisdom has merit, I'm also concerned because her heart meter should increase, but it doesn't. Weird. Next, we head to the meadow to help Aisha. Ranger's energy is still bottomless. We canter over to the flower fields, gather enough for the tribute, and present them to Aisha. She wants us to return tomorrow to check out the travel stones. I also want to sell her some stuff, but after a quick chat, I notice her heart isn't moving either, and I'm not sure if this weird bug will affect the money I make or don't make when selling things. I decide not to risk it and we head home, so I can save and start the next day as quickly as possible. We're down to the wire. It's the first day of summer, and if I didn't know in my bones that editing this video together is going to drive me around the bend, I'd want to keep playing. We've barely scratched the surface, and Wander Sprite hasn't even become a yearling yet. We don't have too much to do today, just talk to Madeline about expanding the selection in the auction house, and River's finished designing the jump arena for the lake. Still, my first priority is making sure yesterday's glitch was just, well, a glitch. I take Spark out for a short ride with her new tack, nothing matches, I still think she looks amazing anyway, and I run the coast race with her. The glitch has resolved itself, and she places in first. I talk to Madeline to see if our heart meter will go up today, and that's back to normal too. She cheerfully tells us that business is starting to pick up around Rivershine, and she overheard George admit that maybe the magic in Rivershine was real after all. Realizing he'd been caught talking about his feelings, he blushed and tried to stammer his way out of it. But Madeline knows what she heard, and now so do we. This is the greatest day. She goes on to say she'll split the cost with us if we'd like more horse vendors to come to Rivershine, and it's not too expensive, so I fork over the cash right then and there. I also buy the jump arena from River, and I'm so eager to try it with Ranger, I don't even stay to chat with her. I bring Spark back home and switch to Ranger instead. While heading for the trust arena, we find where Orion hid his purple hair dye. I know it's probably crazy of me to consider it, but I kind of want to see what Ranger looks like with a purple mane. Is it like a deep violet, a neon purple, or a soft pastel? By the time we actually get to the jump arena, I forget all about this question and work on upping his stats. I want to try that intermediate race without the unintended bonus of infinite energy, which I did, and we still came in fourth. I know Ranger's stats are a little on the low side for an intermediate horse, but I'm actually weirdly attached to him already, and I don't want to sell him. Plus, he has great traits, and I know he's got tons of potential. I mean, not literally, his potential is actually pretty low, but he's clever so he can gain that back. And that's when I have the idea to have Liam expand our stables. We won't have room to take in another adult once Wander Sprite ages up, and I'd really like to train her up as much as possible too. Unfortunately, the stable upgrade is way outside of our price range. I start to turn around and head back home when I remember I can sell Liam things too. After basically emptying our pockets, we still don't have enough for the upgrade, but that's okay because it gives me something to work towards. Tomorrow's the last day I'll be filming of this video, but I'll likely keep working with these horses and this save afterwards. So if you'd like more videos or even occasional updates, let me know in the comments. For now though, it's getting late and we should head back to the ranch. It's our last day in Rivershine, but I've actually been playing off camera for almost an in-game week because we were in a really grindy spot and I didn't want the last day to be just racing and nothing else. It's now the 6th day of summer and we have a handful of quests. During the last 6 days, I've exclusively been racing to earn money or training our fleet. I decided to pair Ranger and Spark just because I was curious to see what kind of foal they'd have, and I haven't bothered to chat with any of our neighbors or turn in any quests. We did earn the money for the stable upgrade, which is why we have quite a bit less money, but I'm hoping to fix that today. So we're going to try the new intermediate race in the forest, give Madeline the supplies for a tribute to Redwine, the horse statue in the Rocky Mountain, and hopefully also purchase the flexibility arena from River. There's a herd of wild horses hanging around the forest today, and I might try to catch one, tame it, and train it very briefly for some quick cash. I'd also like to drop by the meadow and receive Gold Charm Speed reward, but that one's going to go last on our to-do list after trying to talk to every NPC and discovering more of Rivershine's secrets. If they have fresh dialogue, I'll definitely include it. And look! Wander Sprite's all grown up now. Today we're riding on Perfect Autumn. I bought her with the intent to train her up and sell her for a better price later, and enter her in the forest race. We placed dead last, and I'm reminded why I don't like the forest all that much. It won't be my only reminder today, but it's the first. Also, to be fair to the forest, I do struggle with the races in general. That's definitely a me issue, and why I'm glad story mode exists. Still, we try the intermediate meadow race. It's not much better. We place 5th, and to console myself, I run to Madeline for the prize money. She generously gives it to us. She has nothing new to say, but that's fine. We're using the travel stone to get back home and take Wander Sprite out for her racing debut. Plus, since we raced Autumn a couple of times, even though the results were less than stellar, her value will have increased at the auction house. I shouldn't have worried. Wander Sprite was more than capable of placing first, even when we faltered at one jump. She gets a treat for her excellent work, then we move to the auction house so we can find the perfect forever home for Autumn. She sells for a cool $10,370, consider it a success. With our wallet feeling a little heavier, maybe we'll treat ourselves or our horses, but first, let's go visiting. River is standing in the town square with Madeline, and now that she finally has the Flex Arena, I have to buy it from her. She must be really mellowed out after her big realization, because she reminds us that even though we have responsibilities that can sometimes be overwhelming, it's okay to just enjoy days on the ranch too. That's exactly how I prefer to play, so I feel seen. Next on the list, Shin Day. The saddlery's pretty quiet today, but Day tells us he has the largest inventory in town, but also advises completing quests, because our neighbors might have special tack as a reward. Good to know. After, we visit our favorite wilderness guide, who finally reveals where his fear of horses comes from. I was going to tell you, but I think it's worth finding out yourself. It's just as delightfully silly as the rest of Jai's interactions. Amelia's overwhelmed at the clinic, but she asks us for a weather report since she wants to take a walk on the trails later. Liam told her he's an avid hiker, so she figures some outdoorsy fun might inspire her to paint or write. Since we've hit our first heart level with her, she gives us some more free medicine and we're on our way. Of course we have to drop in on George's day. He makes another case for selling our horse's manure to him, and once again, I must decline. Since Aisha's in town selling stuff at the market, it's an easy trip to see her. She's gotten into the swing of things on the farm, and when she has free time, she likes to read. But she's read through her entire collection, save old law textbooks she'd rather not revisit, so now she's going to try journaling to keep herself busy. I really think Aisha and Amelia have a lot in common. I hope their storylines eventually merge. I totally forgot to visit Daphne at the boutique, but we make time to surprise Orion at his shop. I don't see any styles I want to try on Wander Sprite, but that's okay, because Orion is more than happy to tell us why he loves his career in the first place. For him, it's not just about making the horses look beautiful. He feels like he's channeling their energy, and he's appreciative of us because we understand that horses are more than what they seem. He pulls another tarot card for us, the Empress, and recommends a curly styling for Wander Sprite. I buy some purple dye I might use one day. Not today, but maybe one day. And we hoof it to the forest so we can talk to Liam and maybe catch a wild horse for the stable. We've reached our first full heart with Liam. He's having trouble crafting that trinket box, and while it required a trip to Amelia to remove splinters, he's given us the leftover wood shavings as a token of friendship. I don't know why, but he gives me the same vibes as Jacob from Abbott Elementary. Even though I changed the day speed to the slowest possible, it's still pretty late. We still attempt to chase the wild horses. Attempt. The one I'm focused on gets stuck. More than a few times. This happened a lot, even in early access, so I'm not worried, just kind of annoyed. Especially when I accidentally leave the forest trying to catch it. Once you leave the area, the herd does as well. It's not exactly the most triumphant end to our last day, but that's how it goes in Rivershine. Honestly, if you watched this whole thing, thanks so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you want to see more Ranch of Rivershine content. I'm probably going to take a bit of a break from it for a couple of weeks because making this kind of took over my life for a bit, but it was fun. Let me know if you'd like another video with these horses and this particular save file, and I'll make it happen. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.